There's a principle mentioned in the Talmud, schar mitzvah b'hai al malaika, that there is no real reward for mitzvot in this world. Hashem promises us rewards, but those rewards will be received in the eternal world, in the world to come. There are, of course, some exceptions, and these we mentioned in the morning services, Elu Devarim, that there are certain things that one has the main capital reward in the world to come, and you get some side benefits in this world. But the principle remains firm, that the reward for mitzvot is in the next world, after this life. If that is so, we are confronted with a very difficult problem in this week's Parshat. And it's a section that we know very, very well, the second paragraph of the Shema. And in fact, we read this paragraph every single day because of the concept of all mitzvot, the importance of accepting upon ourselves the commandments of God. And together with that comes the concepts of schar and onesh, reward and punishment. God gives us freedom of choice, and as a consequence of that freedom of choice, if we choose to do right, we will be rewarded. And if, God forbid, we choose to do wrong, we will be punished. And all of this is laid out in the second paragraph of the Shema, where Hashem tells us, if you listen to my voice, then I will reward you. I will give you ample rains in the appropriate times. I will give you crops in your fields. You will have enough to eat. Your animals will have enough to eat. But if your heart turns astray and you go after your heart and your eyes, then there will be punishments. Now here the commentators ask the obvious question. What does it mean when God says, if you listen to my voice, I will reward you. I will give you rain and I'll give you crops. Those are physical rewards. The Talmud says clearly, we are not rewarded for the mitzvot that we do in this world. We are rewarded in the world to come. So what type of a reward is it? We do what Hashem tells us to do, and He gives us rain, and He gives us crops, and He gives us physical bounty. That's not a true reward. What does it mean? And the Rambam Maimonides shares with us a very, very beautiful explanation. The Rambam says there is a difference between a reward and that which enables you to live a proper life. The Rambam explains as follows. In order to be a Jew and to serve God and to do His commandments, one has to be in a state of health. One has to have money. One has to be able to do mitzvot. One has to be able to be in a family that allows him to do mitzvot. You need a lot of physical items to allow you to do mitzvot. If you're sickly and you have no money and you're in a difficult situation, how can you do mitzvot? And therefore Hashem says to the Jewish people, if you do what I tell you to do, if you do mitzvot, then I will enable you to do more mitzvot. I will give you rain in the appropriate time. I will give you crops. I will give you physical bounty. So that you will live in a situation where now you have the wherewithal to do more mitzvot. These are not rewards. This just allows us to do more and more. And perhaps a modern, more contemporary way of understanding this is a businessman who has his salary and an expense account. And he shouldn't confuse the two. His firm will send him off overseas on some type of a journey or a mission to get business. They put him up in a hotel. They say, here you have a budget. You can spend thousands of dollars on going to wonderful restaurants. You can take out clients. You can stay in the best hotels. That is an expense account. That allows him to bring in the business. If he brings in the business, he's going to get his salary. The expense account is not the salary. And this is what Hashem says to us. You are going to get a salary for doing mitzvot. That salary will be paid to you in the world to come. I hold it in trust. Don't worry, you'll be paid out. But I'm giving you in this world an expense account. If you do what I tell you to do, then I will make it feasible for you to continue to do mitzvot. Very often we look at the Torah, we look at the mitzvot, and it looks like a vast mountain. How are we ever going to do this? You have to get up early in the morning. You have to put on tefillin, wear a talis, learn Torah, shake the lulav, sit in a sukkah, keep Shabbat. It just seems to be something that is totally unmanageable. And Hashem says to us, don't try to do it all at once. Start one mitzvah. And as soon as you start that mitzvah, you'll see that you will be able to do another mitzvah. And this is what our sages tell us in Pirkei Avot. They say that schar mitzvah mitzvah, the reward of one mitzvah is another mitzvah. And mitzvah goreret mitzvah, one mitzvah leads to another mitzvah. And this happens in a psychological way. Rabbeinu Yonah explains in Pirkei Avot, as soon as we do a mitzvah, and a mitzvah by nature is difficult, it requires us to do something which perhaps our nature doesn't want to do. But as soon as we've done one mitzvah, we change our nature ever so slightly, that now we're able to deal with a challenging situation, so that when a second mitzvah comes along, and perhaps it's a little bit more difficult than the first, we are able to do it, because we have already got into the mode, into the attitude, into the way of thinking that allows us to do mitzvot. So this is the answer to the mystery of our parsha. It's true that the reward that we get is in the world to come. But if we do what is right, if we begin to do mitzvot, even if it's just one mitzvah, you'll see that you're able to do another mitzvah. And so it goes on, and it goes on, and it goes on. God will enable us to do mitzvot so that ultimately our true payment will be in the world to come. I wish you a Shabbat Shalom.